Was a prayer. This was a petition. This was this man's last plea on earth. It was not a plea for see you later in a couple of days, and when I see you, don't forget me. This was this man's plea for his eternal home, for his eternal destiny. And just a little while ago, he was reviling Jesus just like the other guy. That was human. But what is it that changed his reviling to prayer? Could have been nothing but the Spirit of God moving on his heart. I just want to make that distinction. Now, your point is not wrong. It is a part of the human makeup to want to be remembered. But that guy, under those unfavorable circumstances, I mean, this guy didn't have long, and he's going to be dead. So he is appealing for his soul. He is reaching out of desperation. He ain't got no more time on earth. There's no vanity there. There's no ego there. This man is pleading. And the point that we would love to be able to accentuate in church, in our testimonies, wherever we are trying to give a word for Christ, is to make people understand that we are in his same condition. Matter of fact, he might have had an advantage because he knew he was dying. He's going to be gone today. Some people don't know just how close they are to their eternal doom. So there's no vanity involved in this. There's nothing human at all. This man was speaking of the eternal, and he was speaking of the immortal, and he was speaking of the hereafter. When you enter into your kingdom, I know you getting ready to leave here, and I'm getting ready to leave here too. When you enter, will you just remember me? It was really a very humble prayer because he didn't say, take me with you. It was Jesus that offered him more than he requested. Jesus gave him more than a memory. He gave him a new address. He gave him an eternal home. He gave him companionship. You're going to be with me. That's right. Today. And that's all. Your point is well taken, but I want us to appreciate right now what we were trying to make clear tonight is that circumstances really have no effect when the Spirit of God moves. That means it can be anywhere, at any time, under any circumstance. The only thing that you and I should try to do is make sure that we don't do anything according to Paul. Make sure that we don't do anything to cause a brother to stumble. But you and I don't control circumstances. I just wanted to expand on that. I respect what you said, but I think you appreciate what I'm trying to get us to see tonight, because if it had just been a human reaction, that other guy on the other side should have took a cue. He should have said, well, shoot, okay, if you're going to remember him, remember me. I don't know how sincere that was, but we do know this. Jesus knew his heart. So these were not just words. This was not just flesh reaching out. So what can you and I do? The best thing we can do is preach, testify, sow the seed. We ain't got nothing to do with the ground that it falls on. Now, the next time when we're led to look at this, I want you to see where Paul, who we have such respect for, Did you know that he worried all the time about the fact that people never took him seriously? I can show you throughout all of his writings where he says, I've come to you now the third time, and I find that you're still doing the same thing. Even though I have been called of God, I have been commissioned. I do nothing of myself. When I'm weak, then I'm strong. The Lord anointed me. I am not bringing you revelations of myself, but revelations of the Lord. He was constantly having to try to prove himself, and they didn't take him seriously. Now, if Paul felt like that, and he was probably the second only to Jesus in affecting the entire Christian world, then how do you think you and I should feel and should recognize that at our best we still ain't good enough? And that's the power of God. That's why we have to be carefully to rightly divide. When we rightly divide, then the word does its work. But when you don't rightly divide, then what have you just planted? You planted something that's going to die. But the scripture says, my word will not return unto me void, but it will accomplish that which I please and will go where I send it. So the main job that we have is to pass it out and pour it on. And that's all we can do. Can't do anything else. Any questions? Let's go.